Good afternoon. I'm Kerrigan Hutton, and this is TMNtv News. Let's take a look at some national news. Danilo Cavalcante, a convicted murderer from escaped prison in Pennsylvania, was caught on August 31st, last Wednesday. According to NPR, the capture was made possible after a burglar alarm was set off at a home north of Philadelphia. A surveillance aircraft was then was able to lead authorities to Cavalcante's location by tracking a heat signal with infrared technology. Since his escape, Cavalcante has been sighted on doorbell cameras of multiple homes and had stolen a vehicle and a weapon. From Fox 29 News, here's a look at how residents are reacting to Cavalcante's capture.
For the residents in this area, finally a return to normal in Chester County.
Yeah, Jason, so as soon as you come into this area, into this town, you immediately begin to feel and even see the difference here. We saw parks were busy today, businesses had a steady flow of customers, and tomorrow, kids in the district will be back at school. All say they are absolutely glad. There's something flying in the air over North Coventry this evening, but the good news is it's not surveillance. The presence of aircrafts, heavily armed law enforcement on the ground, and roadblocks are no more.
It's definitely a huge relief, and you can feel it in the community.
Amy Kovac is right. You can see and feel the difference in her neighborhood. We drove around and saw people out walking their dogs, neighbors outside talking with ease, and garage doors back open. Now that escaped prisoner and convicted murderer Danilo Cavalcante is back in custody.
It's definitely a huge relief that they caught him.
Kovac and her husband had their son back out this evening.
We normally take our son for a walk after dinner, and we haven't been doing that. So today we're out, and we're going to go down to the park.
Community parks also came alive now that families are able to leave their homes without restrictions. Businesses are happy to see them.
It's good to be safe and to be back.
This Rita's reopened after being closed yesterday. The owner says for the safety of workers, the community, and out of respect for law enforcement.
Be able to see all the kids and families and just try to do a little something to put a smile on their face.
Bodie Sanders is smiling for a different reason.
Yeah, I'm ready.
He goes back to school tomorrow after the O.N.J. Roberts School District closed schools for 2 days. Bodie was with his dad while waiting for his sister Fiona to finish an optional soccer practice this evening at O.N.J. Roberts High School. This sign outside the district property building thanking law enforcement. The chaos now in the rearview mirror.
Going down the main road there were probably literally hundreds of cops on the road, so it took, gave you a little bit of pause.
Absolutely, and many have said that they spent so many past nights, long nights, checking for updates, listening to scanners, checking Facebook, watching the news. Hopefully, Sheba, tonight will be a restful one.
Yeah, we are hoping it is, and it should be. Shawnette, thank you. Also,
Members of the United Auto Workers Union are on strike against General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, formerly the Chrysler Corporation. Workers are wanting more pay and better pensions that include cost of living adjustments and health care for retirees. According to NPR, these are all things that workers gave up during the Great Recession to avoid companies from going bankrupt. But now the companies are saying those things are too expensive to give back. Here is more on the situation from CBC News.
As the clock struck midnight, a walkout at the Stellantis Jeep plant in Toledo, Ohio. Similar scenes at the General Motors SUV plant in Missouri. And this Ford factory near Detroit. Workers from 3 major automakers all on strike at the same time.
Because, nowadays, your check doesn't go very far.
The simultaneous strike is a first for the United Auto Workers Union, and it still has chips to play. So far, only 13,000 of roughly 146,000 employees have walked out, but that could change.
And if we need to go all out, we will.
The two sides are far apart on nearly every issue, including union demands for wage increase of about 40% over 4 years and a 4-day work week. The U.S. president showing support for the workers.
Record corporate profits, which they have, should be shared by record contracts for the UAW.
But the big 3 automakers say that could double the cost of vehicles for consumers. The union representing Canadian auto workers is also watching closely, with their deal set to expire Tuesday.
We have to wait to see what the deal comes in over there.
Unifor has already rejected 2 offers by Ford and still has to negotiate with GM and Stellantis. A potential deal in the U.S. could be used to drive those talks.
Striking on all 3 companies makes this very acute. Everybody's paying attention. So when everybody pays attention, you probably, ironically, have a better chance at having a short strike.
But if that isn't the case, there's the potential for major economic implications.
And this drags out into November and December. And this disrupts the U.S. economy and the Canadian economy and potentially other global economies.
Canadian manufacturers export $35 billion worth of car parts every year. Philippe Shaddock, CBC News, Toronto.
And in state news, transgender Kansans will no longer be able to change their gender listed on their birth certificates. The new law reverses a requirement set in 2018 by Governor Laura Kelly, where transgender Kansans could have their birth certificate changed. Attorney General Chris Kobach filed court action against this requirement in order to enact the new law. As reported by KMUW, Kobach and other supporters argue that a birth certificate is a record of a historical event and should not be changed. However, those who oppose the new law say that identification documents conflicting with the person's gender identity leads to complications when traveling, interacting with authorities, and using a credit card. It can also lead to depression in young people, leaving them at a higher risk for suicide. Over the summer, Kobach has also made it illegal for changes to be made with gender listed on driver's license. And in weather, after the colder and rainier days last week, I thought it might be nice to see us cool off a little bit, but that does not seem to be the case. Today is the warmest day of the week with a high of 90 degrees. Most of the week is partly cloudy with highs in the mid to upper 80s. There are some chances of thunderstorms in the forecast. On Friday, rounding out the week, Sunday it will be the coldest day of the week with a high of 75 and a low of 52. As always, stay up to date because this forecast is always changing. Visit kwch.com. And when we come back, Caden Sanders has sports.
5, 4, 3.
We know you'll love what you see here on our campus in Hayes, America.
With over 200 academic programs, small classroom sizes, and a 96% success rate, we will make sure you get the tools you need to succeed.
We are proud to offer you 120 clubs and student organizations, over 300 different intramural activities, and countless other ways to get involved here on campus.
As the most affordable four-year institution in the entire state, we are excited to offer you the best value in education anywhere. Not to mention our robust scholarship programs to help minimize that stress of paying for college.
We hope you enjoyed Tiger Nation, and we can't wait for you to see yourself here.
Welcome back to the Sports Update. I'm Caden Sanders. We begin today's update with a look at the football team, whose record improved to 2-1 after Saturday's win over Northwest Missouri State, 17-6. The win marks the first time the Tigers have beat the Bearcats here in Hays since 1977. It was also the first game this season that Fort Hays State defense has held opponents to less than 300 yards of offense. In fact, the Tigers did not allow a touchdown during the game, with Northwest earning their 6 points off of field goals. The Fort Hays State defense was led by John Johnson, who had 11 tackles, followed by Mason Perez, who had 9 on offense. The Tigers scored a field goal of their own, but put it through the uprights by Carson Arndt, and scored 2 touchdowns, each passes going to Bryson Smith. The Fort Hays State Tigers will be on the road for their next game, taking on Missouri Western at 6 p.m. on Saturday. After going 4-0 at the Tiger Classic last weekend, the volleyball team opened the MIAA play with 2 losses, one coming to Emporia State on Friday and one to Washburn on Saturday. Both games were decided by 3 sets. Emily Ellis led the team in blocks, recording 6 on the weekend, while Riley Tinder led the team offensively with 18 kills. The Tigers will play at home this weekend, hosting Central Oklahoma on Friday and Pittsburgh on Saturday. The women's soccer team repeated their results from last weekend, winning on Friday and tying on Sunday. They beat Nebraska Kearney 1-0 with the lone goal coming from Hannah Mayers, assisted by Grayson Cheney. The Tigers then tied Emporia State with Montserrat Diaz finding the back of the net for Fort Hays State. The Tigers will go on the road this week, playing Washburn on Friday and Emporia again on Sunday. The men's soccer team did not fare well, as last week they lost to Texas Midwestern State 2-0 on Wednesday. The Tigers are now 1-4 on the season and will look to snap their 4-game losing streak on Thursday when they take on Newman here in Hays. 2 other teams in action this fall are men's golf and women's tennis. The golf team competed in the Lincoln Invitational last Monday and Tuesday, placing 11th, and are competing in Tahlequah today and tomorrow for the Northeastern State Classic. The tennis team split their 2 matches on the weekend, beating CSU Pueblo and then losing to Colorado Mesa. They'll be back in action here in Hays on Wednesday against Hastings College, beginning at 3 p.m. That's all we have time for today. Until next week, keep up to date with Fort Hays State Athletics on TigerMediaNet.com and our social media pages.
When you transfer to Fort Hays State University, you discover unmatched affordability, convenience, and powerfully supportive faculty and staff, all with a determination that matches yours. Complete your degree and leap forward in your life and career with Fort Hays State University Online. The best value in education anywhere.
Tiger Media Network is the student convergent media lab hub for Fort Hays State. We live broadcast all of Fort Hays' home athletic events.
Our program is a hands-on program where we give kids ample opportunity to do anything from writing stories to audio and video projects to sports productions to newscast. The sky's the limit. We tell the students whatever they can think of or dream of, we'll find a way to try to pull it off to give them that experience.
I am a junior at Fort Hays State University and I'm a photography major. So I've done cameras, I've done tech directing, video board, a little bit of directing. I really enjoy being able to have an eye for that. It's something I've really enjoyed learning about through my 3 years here with photography. To me, photography and even just video and broadcasting kind of go hand in hand.
The future is with the kids, and the new tech gear that we have fits great into our educational model of a great learning environment for the students.
I really like the TriCaster. I like how you can make it as simple as you want, or you can go as complex as you need it to be. You know, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it.
It's a good experience. It teaches you how to work as a team, how to kind of lead things on your own.
Well, we wanted something when it came to giving our students opportunity that was going to be easy to use and applicable in a lot of different scenarios. And that's what we felt like with TriCaster and NewTek really offer.
You get a really good experience, and it's something you could easily get into.
When we pull off a great production, or they provide a great replay angle for a referee in a crucial instant, that makes you proud.
Once you start working with the TriCaster, you can really understand exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
And now it's my favorite thing to do.
Adjusting to college is difficult, especially if you're going to school in a new country. Our reporter Eleanor Couchman recently took a look into resources for international students here on campus and how some students have been getting used to Hayes so far. Here's what she found out.
The semester is in full swing at Fort Hays State University. Faculty are in their offices, students are in their dorms, and assignments are in Blackboard. For international students, though, adjusting is not so easy. First-time students spent an extra week before class and orientation, learning the ins and outs of American life.
If you have questions, just ask.
Regardless of FHSU's robust global community, International Student Services Assistant Director Angie Roth believes orientation is as important as ever.
A lot, if not all of these students, have never been to our campus before, especially the last several years because of COVID.
So if you're a graduate student, make sure you have Section C.
Nearly 80 international students are experiencing Hayes for the first time. China, Senegal, and Ghana have prominent communities as always, but this semester, junior Lucas Gonzalez is representing Colombia alone.
The only thing that matters in Latin America is corruption. All those countries are full of corruption, so, I mean, the future is zero there, so I decided to come here.
Gonzalez arrived in Kansas from Medellin 2 years ago. Originally a tennis player at Seward Community College, his passion for cybersecurity caught the attention of the Fort Hays Honors College. This semester, he's the sole international student in the program.
For me, paying for college is a pain. I mean, I don't have the money. I work as much as I can. Right now, I keep working with them remotely, but since I am an international student and a full-time student, I just can work 20 hours.
Despite a complicated workflow, he's adapting to life on campus. After all, he needs to.
Just few people speak Spanish here. In Seward, many of them. But here, I just have found like 3 or 4 people.
And you've all spent a lot of time and a lot of money to make it this far in life.
Roth, for her part, is making the most of her monolingualism.
I mean, I like to look at it as it's actually probably helped the student more because it forces them to find ways to communicate.
Like many international students, Gonzalez aspires to help his family reach America once he graduates. Despite the long road ahead, like anyone else, he's making the most of FHSU.
There's fear, there's an element of fear in it, and then seeing them succeed and get involved and just be treated as a regular student has just been, it's been a lot of fun, and and learning from their experiences too.
Reporting for Tiger Media Network, this is Eleanor Couchman.
Thank you, Eleanor. Last week, the Gender and Sexuality Alliance held their very first gay garage sale. GSA members brought their very own pre-loved clothing to sell to students outside the McMyers cafeteria. The proceeds of the sale are going to GSA scholarships as well as an LGBTQ+ leadership event in the future. GSA President Lua Benight said the event was all about spreading awareness and raising money. To see the GSA's future events, check out their TigerLink page. 1 in 6 Americans struggle with hunger. For this reason, Alpha Gamma Delta sorority selected Fighting Hunger as their philanthropy. On Friday, the sorority hosted its 6th annual Mac and Cheese the AGD event to raise money for Feeding America and Meals on Wheels. TMN reporter Alicia Fireherm has more on the story.
Gathering in the Alpha Gamma Delta sorority house, students and members of the community were served platefuls of mac and cheese as part of the Mac and Cheese with AGD fundraiser event on Thursday.
We've done this event for about 6 years, and we really try to get students to come and buy a ticket, and not only are they feeding their own hunger, but they're giving back to our community. All the money that we raise will go to our foundation, and then that will partner with Feeding Hunger in America, and then Meals on Wheels.
In addition to creating AGD's signature mac and cheese, the sorority also took mac and cheese donations from local restaurants.
There's a lot of planning and a lot of work with the community. We partnered with Old Chicago, Hickok Steakhouse, and Gella's, and they all gave pans of mac and cheese so we could have this event without that cost of making our own mac and cheese.
Student Katie Rivera is a member of the Delta Zeta sorority on campus and says she enjoys supporting events put on by other sororities.
So this is my 4th year coming to Mac and Cheese for AGD, and it's one of my favorite events to come to just because you can go in, get your food, and then just hang out if you come with some friends. And also, obviously, all the funds go to a great cause.
If you happen to miss Mac and Cheese with AGD this year, Giesling says not to worry, the sorority will be back next year with more mac and cheese. And if you'd like to support their spring philanthropy project, they will be serving walking tacos for Talk About Hunger sometime next semester. For Tiger Media Network, I'm Alicia Fireherm.
Thank you, Alicia. USD 49 School Board met on Monday. The main focus of the meeting was going over the budget for the year, but the members of the community also voiced concerns about the bathrooms in the new high school. When the schematic designs for the high school were released, all the bathrooms in the new high school were private bathrooms. The architect says this is a setup that is more cost-effective than traditional stalled bathrooms and allows students more privacy. These new private bathrooms will not be gendered, which has stirred up some controversy among residents. The board said a final decision has not been reached as bids for the high school project have not been awarded. More discussion on the issue will come at future meetings. Read more about this at tigermedianet.com. Budgets were also the main focus of the City Commission meeting on Thursday. For the last 15 years, the mill levy has stayed the same at 25 mills. The Commission unanimously voted to keep the mill levy the same for this next year as well. The Commission did point out that just because the mill levy is staying the same does not mean taxes will stay exactly the same. A mill is $1 per every 1,000 of assessed value, so while the mill may stay at 25%, as the assessed values of properties increase, so will the amount residents pay in taxes. Deputy City Manager Colin Belser also noticed that Hayes has the 11th lowest city mill levy in the state when compared to first and second class cities, and the lowest city mill levy outside of Johnson County. And that is it for TMNtv News. To stay up to date with local, state, and national news, visit tigermedianet.com as well as our social media pages. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. This has been Kerrigan Hutton with TMNtv News.